11970. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen to what I have to say. And I will say this, if you watched my last video, I've now basically learned that that had to happen. I tell people all the time, things happen for a reason, because if you've been following my channel for a while, you know that every now and then I'll get these dreams that basically, I don't know if they're what they are, but they tend to answer a lot of questions. So I'll take it as some kind of guide that's sending me information. You could take it any way you want. You could disbelieve it. That's up to you. But I'm really starting to learn that we're doing things wrong. And I think I needed to get that angry and that frustrated and all that built up to do that video, to be able to get that out of my system like squeezing water out of a sponge, because the next couple of nights I had these interesting dreams and they answered a lot of questions. This world is being controlled by people that I would say, not literally, but they're very similar to like an energetic vampire. Now, I'm not saying vampires are real, I'm not saying they're vampires. I'm just saying it as an example. They absorb negative energy and they feed on it like a source. There's a reason why you have politicians, people in Hollywood, people in your education, people in the media that are just doing things that just don't logically make sense. That even the dumbest person would get it by now. And yet they're still following a certain agenda. Well, it's basically to make sure you stay angry, depressed, fearful, because those are lower vibrational energies, which makes you very easily controlled. Now, what is the definition of insanity? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Now, what's one of the things that we as a society have been doing over and over again for thousands of years that have not brought us anywhere closer to harmony in this world? Well, the biggest thing is war and fighting. Yes, there are times it brings peace, and yes, maybe it's necessary if you want to think of it from that aspect throughout history. But it's never brought us to a utopia. It hasn't brought us closer together as a human species. So it hasn't worked, and yet we've done it over and 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 over again for millennia. Well, here's the biggest thing that I learned recently. That their goal, the ones that like to control us and control our minds and our energy, is to make sure we're constantly wanting to have revenge and seeking punishment and justification for hurting others, like imprisoning people and executing people, fighting people, riots, wars. They want all of this stuff. Why? Because it keeps your energy focused on them. In other words, you're giving your power to these people, whether you understand it or not, or understand it, like I like to say. It's something you can't see, feel, taste, or touch unless you are really in tune with your energy. So they want you to constantly focus, because if you're focusing on revenge, if you're focusing on, justice and getting people to get what they deserve, you are now taking your focus off of your own harmony, your own growth, your own peace, and shifting it to them. And they win. That's why no matter how many times you overthrow a government or overthrow a politician, there's always somebody else that just takes his place, that does the same, if not worse. So here's the biggest thing I've learned. And it actually had to do with the movie Eternals. And I don't want to spoil anything. So I'm just going to say this. Everything was created by either God or the source or the one or whatever you want to call it. Which means everything has the right to live. Now, I understand people don't like to be hurt. People don't like to be injured or have things taken from them, or people being executed and people being dominated. But here's the thing. If you focus on them doing all those things, energetically you've positioned yourself in their realm. What they want, and this is what heaven is. And I'm not saying Jesus is real. You can decide that for yourself. But the story or the theory of Jesus was that even though he was betrayed and tortured and ultimately murdered, instead of doing what everybody else would want to justifiably do, which is seek revenge so you could punish those that hurt you, he offered instead forgiveness and did not wish what they did to him on them. And what did that do? That created a separation. So his energy, instead of going back like the Matrix, you ever wonder why the Matrix, the movies, keep resetting? Because in the end, he never learns, Neo the One, never learns to walk away from the enemies. He's always taught to fight them because it makes you feel good. It makes you feel justified. You got to make sure they get what they deserve. But what that does is it creates an energy force that keeps you trapped in that matrix. So the whole story of Jesus is that he was the only one that faced the final boss, and instead of fighting it and over-conquering it, which he could have, he forgave and walked away, which created a separation, which was the creation of heaven. Hell is constantly rebooting and doing the same thing over and over again. Think of it like a video game. Let's say you're in an open world video game where you start out as a nobody, and a king or a dragon or some enemy killed your family, killed your village, almost killed you. You just got away and just barely survived. And the game teaches you you have to build up and get powerful and get smart and get tools and get equipment to eventually be stronger than the enemy. And then you confront it and defeat it and you supposedly win. The idea is to get wise, to get strong, to have all the power in the world, and then confront your enemy. And instead of defeating them, which you could easily do, which resets you back into the matrix all over again and keeps your energy in that realm, you say, even though I can defeat you, and even though you are evil, and even though it might make me feel good to get my revenge, I am going to wish you peace, I am going to forgive you, and I'm going to let you live. So what you're doing is you're putting them on a different plane of existence where they have the right to live any way they want. But what you do is you no longer follow them, you separate yourself, and you end up in your own heaven. So the trick of this world of escaping is to not continuously fight, even if it makes you feel good to seek your revenge. Because all you're doing is trapping your energy into their realm, instead of saying, I can make my own, where I can live with whoever I want, any way I want, and they, as evil and as corrupt and as cruel as they are, can live their lives in this universe. Separation. Until everybody is ready to become one. Realize, because you need real eyes to realize, that infinity was created to give evil enough time to one day decide it's time to go back to love. That's why infinity was created. Because you have the opportunity to do anything forever. But eventually, you decide that, you could eat, let's say Oreo cookies were your favorite food of all time. You can eat Oreo cookies all you want, but eventually, if you ate them for too long and too many for too fast of a time, eventually you get sick of them. So the idea is infinity allows you all the time you need to do all the things you want to do, but eventually, because love loves you so much, it will be there for you when you're ready to come back and all become one. So I understand that when you watch the news and you see these politicians and you see the media and you see the people doing all these corrupt and evil things, I can understand that you want to seek revenge, that it might feel good temporarily to watch them go down and get a taste of their own medicine. But the trap is that pulls you into their realm because you're focusing on them instead of focusing on your own heart. And you wonder why you're never happy. So I'm going to keep up that last video I did where I was extremely angry because it got me the information I needed. And that's why sometimes all things are possible and all things happen for a reason. And I was meant to get to that point to be able to be so frustrated that I didn't think I could do anything else to learn this information. So if you want to become part of your own heaven, then if you want to do that, I would highly suggest you no longer focus your energy in any way, shape, or form on evil, because evil needs your energy to thrive and survive, and they will trick you into putting yourself in a lower vibration because it makes you feel good to watch the bad guy get his, get its due. How many times have you seen in a movie where you cheer that the bad guy gets murdered at the end of the film? Well, last time I checked, murdering is wrong. And if anyone or anything tells you that it's justified, they are evil. Because love, true love, real love, never would hurt anyone. It would let the rapist and the murderer and the molester and the criminal go live in their own universe in peace. But you don't have to be a part of it. If you want that revenge, if it makes you feel good, if you think, oh, they shouldn't get away with it, understandably, I can understand why you would feel that way, but all that does is it traps you back into their system, and they keep you going to keep feeding the Matrix. And that's why, no matter how many times Neo keeps coming back, he needs to learn that he can get all the power and all the wisdom and everything he needs and all the friends and all the loved ones he needs. But when he finally reaches that end boss that created all of his pain, which realize the only reason that they were there in the first place was to inspire you to become strong. You ever notice that the evil creature or being in a video game is the sole reason why you go from a nothing and a nobody to the most powerful person in that game? So it had a purpose. Its purpose was to motivate you to become who you are. Now, the difference is once you get to that point and you easily can defeat that enemy, you choose not to. Because true wisdom is knowing you can have all the power in the world to create anything you want, and you choose to not create evil. And no, Florence, I understand what you're saying, but they're not forcing anything. Everything you do is your own conscious decision. They're just there putting that little carrot on the stick. You don't have to chase it. So nobody can force you to do anything. You choose to do it. They're just good at manipulating you in a certain direction and making you feel that it's okay to be justified so you can get your revenge. As Emperor Palpatine said in Return of the Jedi, strike me down. Because basically they'll become more powerful than you can ever imagine, which is what Ben Kenobi did. It's the sacrifice. So you can continue to go down the same trap. You can watch the news and say, boy, I can't wait until Hillary Clinton and Biden and Kamala Harris, I can't wait until they all get in prison. Or somebody shoots them dead. If you wish that, you are wishing evil. How are you pure of heart? How can you ever rise up if you have evil thoughts? Justified or not, wrong is wrong. They try and make Robin Hood into a hero, justifying, well, he took from the wealthy and gave to the poor, but yet he stole. He took from others that did not belong to him. What gives him the right? How is he a hero when he's stealing? It's just like murder. If you were to go back in time and murder Hitler, no matter how much that you think it's justified. You have become him. Maybe a lesser extent, but you are now a murderer. So how are you under the grace of God if you murder? Any God that says they send angels to go and murder or fight or have wars with others is not the God you think they are. That is not a God of love. A God of love does not need angels with flaming swords to come down and punish the wicked. That sounds like somebody else. A true creator is love. Like, for example, if you have a pet and you love your pet, if you hit your animals, if you abuse your animals, if you do like many people around here in Florida do, when they move or something, they just let their animals out and leave them to the wild, then you are not a good human being. But if you love your pet, you would never hurt them. You would always want to feed them, make sure they have water, and make sure they have shelter, make sure you do everything, give them love and attention. It's because that's what goodness does. It nurtures. If you want to get out of the matrix, you have to stop following the same thing over and over again. Fighting, wars, riots, overthrowing of governments, things like this, they do not work. And you can justify it. And you can say whatever you want. That just means you're going to continue to be recycled. And that is your choice. Because like I've said before, even a bad experience is still an experience. So what do you want to learn? If you truly want to have heaven, then you have to separate yourself from hell and realize you're there. So that whole separation was the fact that the story of Jesus, whether it was true or not, I'll leave up to you. I'm not here to dictate that stuff. But the story of Jesus was he was the only one that finally became as powerful enough to be able to defeat his enemies, and instead he chose not to, and he forgave them even as they were murdering him. And he created, finally, a separation that anyone can follow. Unfortunately, he's the only one there. But that can change because you now know there is a choice. Live and let live. Let evil stay over there and have its right to exist. You don't have to be there to have them arrested, to have them executed, to have them thrown in jail, to have their lives miserable. Because all it's doing is making your life miserable. You can separate. Or you can keep doing what you're doing. That's up to you. So that's my video, and I'm sticking to it. If you want to give it a thumbs up, that's great. If you want to share it, that's even better. If you want to tell people to come to my channel, I'd highly appreciate it. If you want to join my Patreon, there's nothing special there, but it is helping me. So if you want to help me, there's a link in my description if you want to join my Patreon. I think I have maybe 2 Patreon people, maybe 1, I'm not sure. You don't have to, because like I said, there's nothing special there, because I would never tell anybody that they have to join my Patreon if they want to get information. I give it away freely because that's the right thing to do. But if anybody wants to support me and my channel, you know, that'd be a great thing, an unexpected thing, and a very much appreciated thing. So thank you very much for listening. I hope this helps you choose to do the right thing, if only for the fact that you will be helping yourself. You can deny it, you can ignore it, you can keep using your justifications and wonder why you are never going to where you need to be. Choice is yours. You now know there's a second road. Are you willing enough to let go of your anger and your revenge and your hatred and your lower vibration to let evil live on its right to live and just go a separate way and create your own heaven? I hope you do. Have a great day, everybody. I'll see you next time.